Hi folks, welcome to this video about women in sport. This is one of those barrier issues in terms of there are four target groups: women, ethnic minorities, disabled, low income. Those four groups take part in less physical activity per week, per month, per year than white males. So what we're exploring again is why is that? What do we need to do to overcome it? Now what I will say is verbally, but I'll also write it down during this quick presentation, this is another one of those potential discuss questions. Something like discuss whether London 2012 Olympics raised awareness or participation for women's sports participation, something like that. So what you've got to be able to do is on the discuss say yes it has and no it hasn't. First of all, we've got some pictures of women in sport here. Let's look at common barriers. What are the potential barriers to women taking part in sport? Why do not as many women take part in sport as men? Well, in no particular order. Unfortunately, we still live in a society that has a lot of discrimination. We discriminate against women. We say that women can't do those particular sports. So there's a lack of equal opportunities. Think of Nicola Adams. How many girls would take part in boxing before the likes of Nicola Adams wins Olympic gold at 2012? Since she won that gold, boxing awareness has really increased. But before that, we've got a big issue. Boxing isn't for girls. Comments like that. Football isn't for girls. Women's football is bigger than it's ever been. But there is definitely still a lot of discrimination in society towards women in sport and in certain sports in particular. Linked into that is this issue of there are fewer leagues, fewer clubs, particularly in certain sports. Again, let's just stick with Nicola Adams a second. She's won Olympic gold. She's become a role model to all these girls. All these girls suddenly want to take up boxing, but where are the local clubs that are allowing girls? A lot of boxing clubs are still male-dominated, very intimidating atmospheres for females, and so that they're reluctant to therefore go and join in. That then becomes an issue. Low self-esteem. Remember, self-esteem is the posh term for low self-confidence, sorry. So if you've got low self-esteem, you are lacking self-confidence. Okay? So you go into that boxing club, you're the only girl there, bang, your self-esteem immediately drops. That feeling of, I don't belong, this isn't the sport or the environment for me. I'm going to draw an arrow between this one because what is discrimination? It's a form of sexism. You know, saying that, girls can't play those sports. That's a form of sexism. Why can't they play those sports? There is no, there are no limitations on a female's body as there are, no more or less than there are on a man's body. So there is an issue there of sexism. Sexual, use of sexist language and sexual stereotyping. Women can't do this sport because what? But it's unfortunately still exists. We've also got an issue of lack of female coaches. I mentioned a minute ago, women's football participation has increased massively. But if you look at the England football team, women's football team, it's still coached and managed by men. So there's straight away, there's fewer role models. How many women are running, girls' Saturday and Sunday league teams in your local community? It's still largely male-orientated, male-dominated, and it's going to take a lot to turn that around. I'm not slagging PE teachers off, I'm one myself, but there is still relatively a lack of choice in terms of PE for girls at schools. Lads, football, cricket, rugby, all those sports, girls, netball. That's, some schools that is what's offered, that's pretty much it. Well, what if you don't like netball? You haven't got an activity that you can regularly participate in and get passionate about. And one that I've already alluded to in terms of the lack of female coaches, we also got fewer participating role models, mainly due to low media coverage of women's sport. If you look at tennis, Wimbledon every year, you get just as much coverage of the women's games as you do the men's games. And there is no problem with female participation in tennis in this country. Similarly with athletics, similarly with swimming. But then we're surprised why there aren't that many girls taking part in football. Because how many women's football matches do you see a year on TV compared to men's? Okay? In terms of rugby as well, you have your Six Nations, you have your Super League, you have your Heineken League in terms of rugby union. When the women's Six Nations is on the rugby union, it's on the red button, if you're lucky. So it's not out there, it's not publicised enough, it's not pushed enough. That leads to fewer role models, that leads to fewer girls taking up these sports. So these are all common reasons why not as many women or girls take part in sport as men. So the question is, what are we doing about it? What's improving? We are doing something about it and we are getting better. And this is where that discuss question is going to come in. You might get a question again, discuss whether current opportunities for women to take part in sport are the same as for men, right? All that we've just gone through there are the reasons why They're not. They're not taking part. They're the bad things. So what's the opposite end of the argument then? What are the good things? What are we doing and what is changing in our society? Well, in no particular order, women have more leisure time than what they used to. What I'm going back there is go back 50, 60 years. What were women seen as? They were seen as the mother of the home and of the family, cooking, cleaning. Now, these are very, very sexist views. I'm not saying I agree with them at all. Totally the opposite. But that was the view, the view of society on what women's role was. Now that's changed, thankfully. Thank God it has. So women have more leisure time. It's not the women's job to clean the house and cook and all those things. It's just as much the men's job as it is the women's. So we've seen an increase in leisure time, which means more time to do activities that women want to take part in. This is still a problem in this country, this thing about equal pay for men and women. You might have heard about, Jennifer Lawrence recently not getting paid the same to act in films as what male co-stars are. It's happening in all levels of society. Women are still not paid equally in comparison to men. But what is improving is the pay is increasing. It's getting better. It's getting there. So if women are getting more pay, there's more disposable income, so they can afford gym memberships, to join clubs, to take part in, to buy fitness equipment, things like that. So that is another thing that's improving. We're not there yet, but it is improving. Women are a valuable part of society, as we all are, and as our society is going under health problems due to, obesity and things like that, they are part of the drive on fitness and health. Women are being encouraged just as much as men are to take part in regular physical activity, to manage weight better, to increase heart strength better, all the health benefits from doing regular physical activity. Something else we're doing better of is pushing the idea of body image. We've had a very bad obsession with body image. Men have got to be big and muscular. Women have got to be ultra skinny and lean. That's bad. You look at some of these media images of these so-called models where there's next to no flesh on them whatsoever. But, we are pushing on this. It's about body image. It's about tone. It's about, making yourself look fit and healthy so that you are fit and healthy. So encouraging women to do activities that are more specific to their needs. Even though we are nowhere near equal yet, we are getting more TV coverage. We are getting more role models. We've just had the Women's World Cup on TV, all England games televised and other games on the red bun. That never happened a few years ago. It's nowhere near as good as the men's game in terms of TV coverage, but we are getting there. We are making inroads, and that is inspiring the next generation of young female footballers in this country with regards, an example of that particular sport. And although it's still not, perfect yet, we are getting more choice in school PE, more choice of activities. I mean, I was at school way back in the mid-90s, that's how old I am. And there was no fitness there. You played team sports, individual sports, that was it. Whereas now as part of the national curriculum, you've got fitness. You can do, fitness classes and things like that. So there is a greater provision, there are more choices for women to take part in activities that they want to take part in at school. What that does is it allows them to find the activities that they are passionate about, that they love, and that they are going to be willing to take part in when they leave school. The problem we have with regard to school is too many girls get to 16 and go, thank God for that, I never have to do PE again. And they never do any physical activity after that. And they have all the health problems associated with a lack of physical activity. That's because a lot of them never found an activity that they were passionate about at school. They were forced to do team sports where they maybe didn't like those types of sports. They wanted to do something else. So the more choice you've got, the more chance girls and women have of finding activities that they're likely to carry on for the rest of their lives. What we're seeing a lot of fitness centres and clubs doing now is women-only sessions, which is great. Because like I said, remember about the boxing club example, what if you're going in and you're the only girl there and you feel totally intimidated because it's all men and it's a very masculine environment? Well, a women-only session, it's all you girls together and you can take part. There's no, you might have the same concerns about your body image, even though there's nothing wrong with it at all. That's why you dare exercise in front of blokes and things like that. Well, with a women-only session, all that goes away. All those barriers disappear. And another thing worth mentioning, have a look on their website, the Women's Sport Foundation. They are an organisation that are purely aimed at increasing girls' and women's participation in physical activity on a regular basis. Okay, so that's absolutely huge. There's a dedicated foundation, dedicated national organisation to raise the participation of sport of women in sport in this country, which is fantastic. So my point again about this discuss question, what if you've got a discuss question? You've got to give points saying it's still not great, but points like on this slide saying, but it is getting better. We are making improvements. They're the issues. There's one more quick topic I just want to look at with regard to this. It's possible to get a question that has sports and activities like this on it and saying, why are we seeing an increase in girls' participation at school or after school clubs or, in fitness centres, whatever? Why are we seeing an increase in these particular type of activities? What you've got to do is look at the activities that they give you and think, right, what do they all have in common? Okay, now here's the problem. A lot of you ladies watching this video are going to be a little bit patronised about what I'm about to say. Remember, unfortunately, you're in the minority. You're the women who like to participate in physical activity, like to do lots of different sports and play different sports. We're talking about the large percentage of girls and females that don't like doing a lot of the sports out there. So why are we seeing increased participation in sports or activities such as this? Well, what do these sports have in common? They're all toning sports. If you do a lot of these activities, you're going to tone your body. You're not going to build massive muscles. For some women, that's their aim, in which case they need to be doing different activities. But for the vast majority of women who want to get a nice body shape, nice body image, all these activities are body toning. You're going to burn fat, you're going to make nice lean muscle, it's going to give you the shape that you're after. All of these activities are also non-contact. That's what a lot of, not all, but a lot of women prefer non-contact activities. Contact, impact, collisions, they're seen as being masculine characteristics, masculine traits. And some women don't like to take part in sport because they don't want to be accused of being manly or anything like that. No, there's nothing, these aren't manly things, that's a societal view, and it's something we've got to change over time. But it's better that women do sport than no sport at all. So if it's better for them to do, in their head, non-contact sports, then let's encourage it. They're all really indoor activities as well. And again, that might sound patronising, but women generally prefer to take part in indoor physical activity than outdoor physical activity. Okay? So that's something else that we need to take into consideration. All of these activities are also recreational or non-competitive. Now you might go, hang on, they can be competitive. Swimming can be competitive. Badminton can be competitive. Of course can be. But you can play these without having to be a member of a club, member of a team, without having to guarantee that you're going to turn up for training every week, without those pressures. And a lot of women, because they are juggling many balls, and trying to, box off many aspects of their lives. Women as men have jobs. Women do a lot of, roles around the house more than men do, and that's something that us men need to take on a little bit more responsibility. So you haven't always got the time to devote to a club or a team or something like that. So all these activities can be done recreationally. They don't have to be competitive. So there are just a few. You can probably think of more, but there are a few key ones. What I would say is sometimes we get questions about what the schools need to do. Okay, in order to increase female participation. Well, it's maybe to do activities like this for the 4 reasons that we've said there. Do more body toning activities, do more non-contact sports, get some recreational, enrichment activities, some fitness classes, Zumba, things like that. Do more indoor activities. But also, what else do we need to do? Linking into this, okay, we don't have to have expensive kit and equipment. Like we said, women, sadly, although the pay is increasing, they're still not paid the same as men. So, doing things like this, it's not as expensive. But also, linking it back to the school thing, okay, we can relax, kit rules a little bit. How many times have you been at school where girls have said they're not doing this because they haven't got time to dry their hair or do this or they don't want to wear that or whatever else? Let's be a little bit proactive. Let's relax the kit laws a little bit. So there's a whole raft of areas that we need to take into consideration. What you've got to do is look at the question. Is it a discuss question? If it is, you've got to give arguments for and against. If it's going down one way or another, you've got to give those points and you've got to give examples, okay? Don't just say fewer clubs. What does fewer clubs mean? What is the impact of having fewer clubs? What does it mean girls can't do what women can't do? Okay? Good luck with it, folks.